go with my green screen. I always start my shows out with music. I don't know why. I just do. I like it.
I like that. I do that too, actually. A shorter version, but I do. We have like a little theme song at Career Launch. I'm
I
excited.
play different music, so it's one of the things you never know what you're going to get with me.
I like that. That's better.
This, but I was a music major in college. I love to sing. I love everything music related. So I'm actually, I just started running the soundboard, or I should say helping run the soundboard, because it's not just me. There's a team of us. But I'm running the soundboard at church, and that's fun. So I always like to have
awesome. I was raised with musicians, so yeah, I feel you on that.
You get it, yeah. So, and I'm the quirky drummer. The drummers are all.
I was a percussionist in high school.
There you go.
Yeah.
My junior and senior year. No, just my senior year. Sorry, my senior year, I led the percussion. I was the percussion section leader, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, good for you.
And a lot of people are like, well, why don't you go out for drum major? Which I would have, but my best friend in the band was the drum major. I didn't want to compete with him.
Yeah, that's probably smart.
He got to be the drum major my junior year, so my senior year I didn't even go out for it. So
that's very nice of you. See, I'm super competitive. I'd have been like, forget you.
Well, he was my friend, so
no, good for you. That's a good way to do it.
Lots of people from Indy here today. Look, if you're wondering who this is, let me do something. I don't normally do this right out of the gate.
Oh no.
Yeah, hang on a second. I'm gonna do this first. Share screen. Boop, there it is. Okay. I have with me today Catherine Ford. She is the president and founder of Titan Management. This is a recruiting firm, people. So here's the cool part about this show. It's called Ask Ira Job Seekers Q&A. That's the show. We do this. I do this twice a week. I do it on Saturdays. I do it on Mondays. Typically Mondays. We have a little bit smaller audience, but I find the questions, I get a little bit more depth to them, which is fun.
I like.
Yeah, I like that too. So if you are a job seeker, look, I don't care what your question is about. It could be anything job search related. How to find a recruiter. You want to talk about the ATS. You want to talk about resumes, cover letter strategies, changing careers. Maybe you're a fresher, fresh out of college. It's a global term, not really used in the United States, but that's what they call them all over the place, freshers, right? So maybe you want to know how to do industry research. You want to talk about how to look up the culture in a company. What should you ask for? How do you figure out, about following up with a recruiter or a hiring manager after an interview?
Oh yes, communication. Let's talk about communication today, guys.
even networking, because there was a report, and Catherine, I don't even know if you know this, there was a report in the Wall Street Journal not too long ago. 80% of people are finding jobs not using job boards, right? So lots of people are using job boards, but they're frustrated because they're not landing jobs.
Do you know
landing the job, or 8 out of 10 are landing them not through a job board? So let's talk about strategy and networking, getting to build relationships with people. How do you do it? I mean, we could talk about anything. Now, look, we don't script the show. You're my guest, but we don't have to be transparent. I didn't send you like, hey, we're going to talk about this. Prepare for this. Nothing. There was no show prep. There's like, you want to come on? It's live fire. It's live fire, baby. Let's do this thing. So,
I do mine kind of the same way. I scare my guests to death on Career Launch Live because they're like, well, what do I say? What do I prep? I don't know. Come on. This is the general topic of the day, and that's what we're going to talk about. So
Baba, you're going to be excited. Okay, Baba. I have my own website. You guys know this, Project Help You Grow. So I'm not going to tell you all about it.
Terrific site. Love that site.
You should know about it now. But here's what I'm excited about. This job, look at this. Lagos, Nairobi. This is like East and West Africa. I know a lot of you probably aren't familiar with Africa, but I'm assuming that Baba is. This is for the East and the West. McKinney and Associates they have a lot of jobs. I listed 5 of them last night. on my website, but there's a ton. So if you're looking for work anywhere around the world, Australia,
Project Help You Grow.
UAE, well, even go to McKinney, go to McKinney and Company. Go straight to their website if you're looking. They've got tons of jobs. People ask me, that's another thing. Who's hiring right now? Right? Like it's almost
I get
like
that a lot.
they're trying to be facetious, like nobody's hiring. I know.
Oh no, a lot of people are hiring. Some of it's slow sometimes. The process is slow.
Well,
but they're hiring.
There is still more competition. One thing that I'm encouraged.
Yes.
And now you and I we could talk industry speak all day long. And we haven't had any questions yet. So if you have any questions for us,
drop them.
We do FIFO around here, man. If you put them in first, we're going to get to them. And if you wait till the very end to ask a question, I might not get to it. And I do that a lot. I get like the last 30 seconds, I'm trying to get out. And I'll just get another question. Like, why didn't you ask that? I've been on for an hour, 15 minutes.
So I want to start. You said we were going to talk about candidate communication a little bit. Yeah. So I have the number one thing I have to say about candidate communication and really any professional communication, folks, don't be weird. Okay? Yeah, don't be weird. Seriously. Like I don't know how to be more clear about this. Like, do not be weird. I get stuff all the time. I get messages literally every single day that say hello, period.
Right. I get it too.
Or this one. This is another
same message probably 100 times a day. And then I get the other one is I'm available to communicate. I saw that you were available to communicate and it's blank. And
yeah. Well, that's a bot. Yeah. I have. Oh no, this is another favorite of mine. Hello, beautiful.
I don't get that one. I don't know why.
No. If I have a spray bottle for my cats that I spray them when they're bad, and I just want to go up to them and go, psh, no.
Well, that's the block.
I mean, don't be creepy. Yeah, that's don't be creepy.
It's not Tinder. It's not Tinder.
It's not Tinder. Don't be weird.
Also, actually, I just put up, I run Bowman Digital Media. That's how I make my money.
Yeah.
Project Help You Grow is free. So Bowman Digital Media, I just put up a post today on Bowman Digital Media saying, if you're having trouble building your sales on LinkedIn, it's because your automated and your spam practices don't work. Knock it off. And that applies to job seekers. Like, don't treat people like they're there to hire you. They're there to serve you. It's like, no, you're a person. I'm a person. If you reach out to me and build a relationship with me, some rapport, I will bend over backwards to help you. But if you treat me like I'm a piece of meat, I'm not acknowledge you. Yeah. Right. Because I'm not here to be used. I'm here to help. I started a hashtag. My very first hashtag ever was I'm here to help. It was before Project Help You Grow. I'm not afraid to help. I'm not lazy. I will help, but you still have to treat me like a human being because I have feelings. My wife will tell you they're not they're not very many of them, and they're hard to
but they're there. But they're there.
There's a lot of layers of grumpy.
I think that people do forget to be human. And the other thing is too, guys, as a recruiting professional, let me tell you something. Please do not message somebody and say, let's hop on the phone for 15 minutes. Do you have 15 minutes to chat? Let me pick your brain for 15 minutes.
Talk about this?
We might have, I don't know. I this all the time this happens to me. And I'm going, I love helping people.
100 times a day, no exaggeration, 100 times a day, because I'm a business
constant
owner, businesses, and I run Project Help You Grow.
Constant.
And I work with Exit Your Way. I mean, it comes from everywhere, and people, they don't see the problem with it. They go, well, I'm only asking you for 10 or 15 minutes. Yeah, you and 100 other people.
Yeah, and I have all these other people.
I have to run my job. I have to run Project Help You Grow. I have to, be a husband and a father. And by the way, I'm also active in my church. We already talked about it. I run the soundboard and I do other things. It's like, I don't have 10 minutes times 100 every day. I wouldn't even be able to get through that, let alone,
it's not a lack of wanting to help. It's just, there's only so much I can do. Ask for resources, folks. Ask for resources instead. Yeah. Don't ask for 10, 50 minutes of somebody's time. What resources do you have? For instance, I send people to Project Help You Grow constantly. I send people to other people's shows that are very specifically targeted to something that they need. Oh, you're in engineering? Here's a show about a podcast about that. Here's, that type of thing. I've sent people to Who You Know. I've sent people to your show.
I love
that's what you do.
Who You Know is super important. Foster Williams is one of my very best friends.
Yeah, love Foster.
So Foster and Trevor and Alan, those guys are awesome. Okay. So, but here's the thing. I don't care if you're a job seeker, you're an entrepreneur, whatever you do, sales rep, you're watching the show, you're a human being. If you want an appointment, you did this and you can verify this. You said, hey, Ira, let's have a meeting. And I said, about what? I'm not, you know what I mean? I'm not
like what?
About anything. And then in the meeting, we determined if we were going to have another meeting, which we did.
Yes.
It was awesome, right?
Yes.
And so, but you did it the right way. You know what I mean? Like you didn't say, hey, I want 10 minutes of your time to just, BS. It's like, I have something specific that I want to talk to you about. And if people do that, like if you tell me like, look, I got a job offer from somebody and this happens to a lot. I get this and I want this. Okay. If you get an international job offer and you're even a little bit not sure that it is 100% legitimate, I want you to send it to me because I will help verify it for you because I'm really good at what I do. I'm a research nerd. Okay. Send it to me and I'll validate it for you. Now I'll always give you my opinion, but a second set of eyes from somebody who's good at this is a pretty good resource, and I'll do it for free. I won't charge you a dime. Send me a DM on LinkedIn. Say, hey, I got this PDF offer, and it seems too good to be true. Can you validate it for me? I'll go through it, and I will. And I look at the original website. I look at the email address. I find the people on LinkedIn. I do all kinds of research that you should do, but you don't. And I can tell you, because I design graphics for a living. I can tell if it's somebody's original logo or a knockoff, like in seconds.
Yep. So I actually help somebody with that. You have a question?
Yeah, we do. We actually have a couple. So let's start with this one. I have a phone interview next week. It's for an hour. Do you have any advice on how I can get through it without repeating myself? Oh, I have advice, but I have a guest. So instead of hearing me talk all the time, Kathleen, what I'm going to do every question, I'm going to allow you, it's ladies first anyways, but you're my guest too. So I'll let you, like anytime you don't feel comfortable answering a question, you say, hey, Ira, want to.
I have opinions about everything.
I know you
so do. That's never going to happen.
That's what I want you are here because you are awesome. Now look, if you don't see the link scrolling down below, this is to get to Titan Management. This is Kathleen's website. Go ahead and check that out because I'm sure she has a ton of this. And again, if you have a resource on your site that addresses a question, if you want me to scroll to a page, just tell me and I'll navigate there.
I will. Okay. So guys, so to get through an interview without repeating yourself. So that's a fun one because they ask you the same dumb questions that have the same dumb answer, right?
Yeah,
and it's because most people don't know how to interview.
Right.
Yeah, it's so stupid. It's how most people interview is just the most asinine process. So first of all, I hope that's not the experience that you have. I hope that you have somebody that actually does know how to interview. If not, then the best thing that you can do is to keep your answers short and direct. Do not go off. You should be doing this anyway. Do not go off onto tangents. Okay. Nobody wants to hear your life story. Short, direct, concise answers that answer the question and tie everything into how you're going to help them. That will actually help with that because a lot of these repetitive questions, what they're really trying to get to is how you're going to help me, but they don't know how to ask that. So whenever you do answer, tie everything back into how that's going to help them. I am going to be able to solve this problem for you because I've done yada, 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 or I have this skill, or I've done this. And what I can do here is apply that by helping you with X, Y, Z. That's my number one piece of advice.
No, I completely agree. In fact, actually, you could tie that into sales and all kinds of stuff. Like,
yes,
the number one thing people forget in life is that the number one subject for everybody is talking about themselves. You're in a job interview now. You can validate this. Okay, they're not hiring because they just feel like giving away money. They're not hiring because they want to employ more people. Their business for that, right? I mean, I think at job seekers, there's a lot of people who have this entitlement mentality, which we need to just knock the shit off because it's honestly, it's
not a thing. Yes, it is very stupid.
I did not open Bowman Digital Media to hire anybody. I did it to feed my family, right?
Right.
My goal. So as an employee or a potential employee, what you said, 100%, tie it to how every answer, tie it how it helps them solve their problem. They have a problem. Did you know that? They have a problem.
Yes, that's why they need you.
They're hiring. Well, they don't necessarily need you. They need somebody. They didn't
Well,
set
right,
out
yeah.
to hire Kathleen McCord or Ira Bowman, although they'd be smart if they did. But they set out to hire somebody to fill a hole. There's a hole.
Yes.
So when you're doing your prep research, now this is one thing that most people don't do. They don't do nearly enough preparation
Right.
for the interview. Now, that always ties into my answer to this question. So I'm just going to be a little sneaky
Let's
here.
have it.
Here we go. Ira likes to tie back to articles. I write tons of articles. Why? Because I can share en masse my advice. So here's what I want you to do. You want to avoid repeating yourself? Go in prepared, because then you'll have so much depth that you won't need to repeat yourself. The other part that Kathleen, her answer didn't address, but if you get into all the different research, right? And you have a day, so you don't necessarily have time to do all this now, but hopefully you've already done some. But know about the company history and overview. Know the management style, the ownership. Get into the company culture. Learn about research the interviewer. Who's interviewing you? Who do the company? Who do they compete with in the real world? How are they doing in the financial market? Look at their annual review. Again, finances, not only for themselves, but the industry itself. And then are they outperforming? Because I used this expression on Saturday, and I think a lot of you need to understand this. You could look at a company who's up year over year and think they're doing well. And so you feel comfortable. But then when you look at their performance versus the industry trend, it's actually lower. So it's not a good sign. Or you could see somebody who's on the decline and think, oh my gosh, this company sucks. But then you look at the industry trend and it's way steeper. And so they're outperforming the industry. So that is important.
Yes.
For the interviewer, prepared questions. For example, you read this article, I'll give you some questions that you can ask if you don't have any. And this might help you because the interview's tomorrow, right? So you may not be able to think of great questions on the fly, but go in with prepared questions. And one of them, and I'm going to get face to face with people here for a second. One of the questions you need to ask, because you guys just aren't thinking about this, and you need to. I want you to ask every single time about how they handle raises and promotions.
Yes.
Far too many of you are going in with this thought process that I'm going to go in on the cheap, I'm going to outperform their expectation, and then they're going to reward me. But if you ask them how they handle promotions and they're being honest, most of them will tell you it's 24 to 36 months before you're really going to get a raise. So no cost of living increases, no extra nothing. So you better know what you need. You better know what the market bears, and you better ask for it, what you can live on for the next 24 to 36 months. If you don't, you're going to find yourself what? Unhappy.
That's very true.
Satisfaction, and back on the market seeking for a job incognito, which is a lot harder to find. And you're going to put yourself there because you didn't ask the question I just asked you to ask. So ask that question. Then you'll know when you get the offer. Let's say, the market might bear $85,000 to $105,000 for this position. And they offer you 85, and that's in the range. You go, you know what?
Yes.
It's a little bit lower than what I would have liked. I would have liked 95, let's just say. I would have liked 95. But you go in with the 85 with that expectation, unrealistically, that you're going to get that raise, and then you don't get it, and then you're pissed off because you're making less than you wanted to make from the very get-go, and now you got to live on this for 2 to 3 years. I'm telling you, that's a question everybody should ask, and most people don't, and that's
100%. 100%, Ira. Absolutely. What's the next question? I'm excited. This is fun.
It is kind of fun. Now, I'm telling you, Mondays are a little bit slow. We don't have.
I like it. It's okay.
Yeah, you guys have questions you need to ask. We will address it in detail. You're going to be hard pressed to find a show where you're going to get 2 answers like that back to back off the cuff. They're not.
That's true.
That's right. Actionable. You can take action with what Kathleen just told you and what I just told you. You can make a much.
You can make it happen.
Right. Why do employers ask for references before interview? Kathleen?
One of two things. They are using that to build up their database. That's a number one reason, actually, especially if it's a recruiter. They're using that to build up a database, which is shysty. Don't do it. The other reason is that I've seen some weird companies and they seem to think that they want to check references before they ever talk to you, which is completely backwards. I actually strongly recommend just not doing it. Yeah. Just saying, you know what, I am glad to give you that information after we've had a chat and after we've spoken face to face and we're basically ready to move to offer. The reason is that I respect the people that are my references too much to just have every employer reaching out to them and blowing them up. I basically want them to have one call from the employer that I've chosen.
Remember what I talked about? Treat people like people. Could you imagine? You haven't even interviewed for this job. Hello, this is Ira. Yeah, can you tell me if Kathleen's going to make a great employee? Tell me everything you know about Kathleen. So I've been a hiring manager. Kathleen's a recruiter. We both know that that's preposterous.
That's completely ludicrous.
I wouldn't even know what to ask about you because I haven't interviewed
you. Yeah. So what am I going to say?
So it's got to be some type of, I hate to say it, but I mean, it's shyster. It's something.
Yeah, it is.
It's something on the scam end that you either have a hiring manager who has no idea what they're doing, or you have somebody who's actually trying to be fraudulent in some way. And either way, that's the sign. This is where you have to educate yourself and go, I'm not doing it. I almost guarantee you that that's the type of scenario where you're looking at working abroad and it's a scam. So,
or like I said, or it's a recruiter trying to build their database. Yeah, that happens a lot.
Yeah, and again, there's nothing right about that. So
no. No. Same process. Yeah, same thought process.
Which means if you guys can't understand why they would do that, they're a recruiter. They're trying to build their database. They're looking for hiring manager information so that they can go solicit them for their services. They're not interested in hiring you at all. They're just trying to find leads, and you're going to give them who? The owner of businesses, the director of departments, the managers, the hiring folks. So that's
which is so shysty and not cool at all.
I've been applying for international jobs, but in vain, of course. What should I do to increase chance to land a job offer in Canada or US? Okay, I will take this right away if you want me to, or you can take it first and then I'll tell you my special.
One thing is first, I just want to let you know, the one thing I'm going to say, and then I'm going to let Ira kind of take it, is this is a hard time if you're not a U.S. resident to get a job in the U.S. I don't know if you know this. They have really cut back on the visas, the visa sponsorship, things like that. They've also cut back on a lot of the other regulations and things like that are making it a lot harder for companies to hire non-residents. So that is something. I'm sorry?
It's almost impossible right now to get a U.S. work visa.
Oh, yeah. If you're planning on coming here, that's not going to happen. I can pretty much tell you, unless you do something very unusual that nobody else here can do, not going to happen right now.
I have an analogy that ties in so perfectly to this. I'm going to say it because it's Monday. All right. So here's the deal. Imagine that you need a loaf of bread and you're going to send your husband out to get this, right? Because that's what all husbands love to do. We love to go to the store and get groceries. My wife will come in here, bust through my door, and say he never wants to do this. And she's 100% right. I never want to do it. But we need the bread for the meal, right? Okay. If I could go to any store in my general vicinity, let's say within 2 miles, and buy any loaf of bread and bring it home, and you're going to be happy, why the hell would I drive? Now, I live in LA. Let's say, why would I drive to Salt Lake City, which is about 13-hour drive away from me, or up to San Francisco, which is an 8-hour drive for me, or maybe I want to go down to Mexico City, which I don't even know how far I live, maybe 10 to 15 to get bread and bring it home for that meal. Now, first of all, I'd be late. That'd be a pain in the butt. I would spend way too much money on the travel, and then there's the liability and all that stuff. The analogy here is, if my labor market is full, my local labor market is full of people who are qualified to do the job, and I'm willing to pay the rate, why would I bring in a foreign employee with all the extra cost and risk, the culture risk and everything else, that, maybe they don't like it here and they're going to go home, or they're not going to fit in. I mean, there's a lot of risk. Yeah. And I still have to pay them. You know what I mean? Yeah. Why would I do that? I think foreign people who want to work in a foreign place need to understand that, again, we don't have an obligation to hire you. It's a business. We do what makes business sense. Now, what you just said does make sense. And this is what I try to rein it in with the analogy. Now, if there's a special ingredient, let's say it's Christmas or it's Thanksgiving, or maybe it's a 50th wedding anniversary, and we want to make the special thing from the special place. So then we'll special order that ingredient. We're probably not going to drive there and pick it up, right? But we're
Right.
going to
We're a special order it.
We'll go in line and we'll bring it in, right? Because that's what makes sense. But that would make sense for that one special occasion. Now, how does that tie into the labor market? Again, you have a skill that's niche. I can't just go out into my labor market and readily find it. Or I can, but maybe it's super, super expensive. And now I can bring you in from a foreign field and I can pay you a wage that isn't competitive, but that you will accept. And, I have problems with that actually. But
now I've heard that Canada's better right now. I've spoken to some Canadian recruiters that have told me Canada. Canada's wide open. I would shoot for Canada. That's the number one helpful piece of advice I'll give you.
I'm going to say even beyond that. Canada's not narrow enough. It's not specific enough. That's like asking me for a like asking me for a 10-minute appointment. And the other thing that you need to realize about Canada, guys, is it's really, really cold. Like, do your research on the weather, on the culture, because I'm telling you, if you're going from, did he say India? No, he's going from Africa, Rwanda. You know where Rwanda is? It's right below the freaking Sahara Desert. Okay? It's really not. Have they ever had snow in Rwanda? I'm just saying, because when you go to Canada, you're not going to have to guess or wonder if it's going to snow. The only question is, how many hundreds of days is it going to snow and how high is it going to get? It snows there a lot, right? Life is not a dream. You can chase your dreams, but you have to be based in reality. So here's what I would tell you. Do some research. Search Toronto. Search these different cities, right? And understand where you would best fit, not only for the job itself, for the labor market, because, for example, one of the things that I would do is I would research where there's a labor shortage for the thing that you do. Is there one? That might help you pick, because that would make your odds of landing a job much, much higher. Now, the number one strategy that I recommend right now, this has been a long-winded answer, but I said there's a lot to this. So I have to debunk some stuff and teach people some strategy. Here you go. Number one strategy for finding a job in a foreign field right now is to find a job in Rwanda, only because you're in Rwanda, right? If you were in Mexico, I'd say Mexico, okay? Wherever you are, that has an office in the place that you want to switch to, transfer, okay? So you start locally, you work, you get to know the HR team, they get to know you, and then you start to speak with them. I recommend 6 months to a year after you get started. This is not an interview thing. This is a, hey, I'm an employee thing. Now I want to look at, hey, we have an office in Toronto, and I want to transfer to Toronto. And you start talking to them. Now, that might take 3 or 4 years. It's not going to be a quick turn, right? But the fact is, for an employee who's been with me for 3 or 4 years, that's something that I would consider, especially, if I can see you working out there. Now, while you're there working in Rwanda for that company, I want you to also start networking with the people in Toronto. I want you to start learning the languages, if you don't know them, of Toronto. Make friends, make it so it's, like a natural thing. And then when you have that conversation, let's say you're there for 6 months and you have that conversation with HR and they say, hey, we don't ever do that. We will not do that. Then you switch jobs at that point and you try to find another one. But two things are going to be happening at the same time. You're giving yourself a legitimate chance to be transferred. And also you're allowing the COVID effect to die back down, the effect on the economy. Because right now it's almost impossible to find visas, right? So normally what I tell people is make sure you visit the country before you go move there.
Yes.
But I don't want you to go there as a visitor and stay in a hotel and entertain yourself and eat out at restaurants. Nope. What I want you to do is rent an Airbnb home in a place that you could afford if you were actually moving there. I want you to experience rush hour traffic. I want you to go to the grocery stores, the bank, use the public transit, all that stuff, because that is real life. Don't go when the weather is wonderful. Go when the weather is as awful. Look, from Rwanda to Canada, I'm making the assumption that snow is going to be harder than summer. So go in the winter, like in January, and experience that Nordic tundra cold. Go out there and shovel a driveway at 3 a.m. Stuff like that. That's how you'll know if you're going to like it there or not. Instead of living in the fantasy, find the horror, find the hardest thing and try and deal with that. If you can do it, then you'll be much more successful. And I'll tell you what, when you're interviewing with somebody in Toronto, Canada, and you tell them you've been there and you rented a Airbnb for a week in January and you shoveled snow and you know what it's like and you can endure it, that'll give them more confidence in hiring you too. Again, it's about the interview, because when I'm interviewing if I'm a hiring manager, I'm interviewing somebody from another place and they've never been there, that's on my mind, right? When I was a hiring manager in Texas, one of the questions I had for people out of state was, can you handle our heat? Can you handle the Texas heat?
I'm from Texas, and let me tell you, I now live in South Florida, and people are like, oh, it's so hot in Florida. Be quiet. You don't know. Wait till you've been over 110 for weeks at a time. For 100 straight days. Yeah,
where it's 100 degrees, and you're like, okay, bro. I mean, that.
Yeah, I'm over this.
That weighs on you, or maybe maybe you can't handle some of the other parts of things about Texas. But that's a question that will be in their mind. So if you can address that in the interview, like, hey, I know what it's like to live in the real Canada, in the real, climate.
Yes.
It is the real climate of Canada. It's a winter country, not a summer country.
Yes.
Anyways, be specific. There's a lot there to unpack. Hopefully we answered that question for you. I get that question every show, by the way. So
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it. Oh, what do you got here?
What are the proper company questions to ask if they're owned by private equity? That is a great question. This is the first time I've been asked this, and I actually addressed this in my article. But I'm gonna, again, of course.
No, you start on that one, Ira. I'm gonna let you start on that one.
This was tough. Usually, okay, if it's private equity, so it's owned by a private group, usually you can find out who the group is if it is actual group, and you can look at their net worth. You can look at an individual's net worth. If you're looking at a small to medium business size, it's going to be insignificant, and you're just going to have to kind of not hit that as part of the what am I'm trying to say? The things that the data points that you would analyze, right? But a lot of times there are equity groups, they're LLCs or they're S corps or whatever. It's not publicly traded, but it's still privately held corporation, and you can do research on them, and then you can just compare year over year, right? So look at things like Google them. But you can look at things like Blue Book. We'll usually have data points, or what's the other one? There's another one, Book of Lists. Usually we'll have them too. So you want to go to the Book of Lists for the city that they're from, and then look there. They usually have a whole host of them, and you can find out about the owners or the companies. Privately held equity does not mean that nobody knows it. That's right. Most private equity groups are still reported on publicly. They want people to know their financial position because it helps them do business. Both from a creditor standpoint and from a vendor standpoint, it helps them. So they do publish that information.
One thing, real quick, I will say too, if you're ever, because talking about equity made me think about this. I've negotiated a lot of equity related contracts over the years, okay, and a lot of equity related offers. Make sure when you are negotiating equity for yourself that you are making sure to account for changes in number of shares. So if they say, we're going to give you 20,000 shares, great. What happens if they get diluted because you decide to change the number of shares? Okay. So what you really want, if you can get it, is a percentage. If you can get it, I want this percent equity. Or if there's a certain number, there needs to be a clause about if dilution happens and therefore how it updates. Protect yourself there, because a lot of companies pull that. They will tell you, I'm going to give you this many shares, and then later it gets diluted and your shares are worth peanuts.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
How do you feel about that as part of the salary or compensation package? Because that's
equity,
I personally have shied away from. You know what I mean?
Do you like it? Okay, it depends on your role. There are certain positions in which it's very appropriate. Like C-level, you should have equity.
C-level, it should have it, right?
C-level, even like directors, that kind of level, I think it's also appropriate. Anything below that, I really shy away from it, because you're not going to be part of making the decisions that steer that company in the direction that they go. And it's not a good move. So honestly, if you're anything below a director level, I would try to not have equity. I would try to just do a bonus program, things like that.
And I would say mid-manage and lower. I agree with you 100%. Director level, C-level, yes, makes
Yes.
sense.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Appropriate, and it should be part of the compensation package.
Yes.
If you're mid-level or lower and they're offering that, I actually think that's a warning sign that you should maybe take another job. And again,
in many cases, yes. I've known some owners though that it was just they were going to keep the company small, and it was just really important for them. And the intent was to sell. For instance, I've done a lot of work in merchant services, right? And most companies in that industry sell after just a couple of years. So in that industry, it's more common to have equity as part of the program because the idea is you stay with me until we sell in 3 years, then you get this money.
Yeah.
Then adios.
As long as it's not in lieu of salary.
Right. Oh, and another thing too, on yes, and on that note too, guys, let me let you in a little hint. If there's not a buyback option, or if they're not planning to sell, your equity is worth paper that it's printed on. Okay. Equity only matters if they are either planning to sell, and in which case you better talk to them about the schedule with that and everything, or if there is a buyback option that's at your discretion. In other words, after this many years, I can sell it back to you and I get my money. That's the only way that it's worth anything. Otherwise, no, just don't even worry about it.
I just got a text from my pastor. I said, "Who is this?" He says, "Pastor." I said, "Yeah, I know. Sorry." My jokes aren't always funny. I agree with what you said. I've had that offered to me before in manager roles where it was like, "Why are you offering me that?"
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, sometimes it's weird.
One company I worked for that was super awesome, though. The guy would do a 401k investment, even if you didn't invest in yourself, and it was tied to your.
I like that.
So that was kind of neat. But that wasn't stock in the company. That was, hey, we're gonna do an employee contribution or employer contribution in a 401k, and it was tied to the company performance. So everybody, what I loved about it, everybody had motivation, no matter who you were, to make sure the company was profitable.
Yeah.
The more profit we made, the more everybody, and it was
I actually like that. That's way better.
Yeah, it was a significant amount of money, and that company also paid for 100% of my healthcare, which was
that's the best thing.
Not just me. I'm talking about the whole family. Like we had an administration charge that I had to pay per check. It was $25 per check. I had insurance for 10 people for $50 a month. You have
so many kids, but I love it though. I just every time you say that number, I just go.
That was a major. That was the compensation package. You know, they really.
Yeah, and I tell people that you know what, I'm going to make a public announcement here. This is my public announcement for the day. Is I get asked all the time, what would it take to get you to come work for my company? Pay for my health care. I will consider it. I won't say I will, but I will consider it if you will pay for insurance.
Do you know what my health care costs me in California?
I don't want to know because with your
$1,560 a month.
That's way less than I thought it was going to be.
That's $1,560 a month, but that's just that's the monthly fee. That doesn't, like, if we go use it, I still have to pay all the.
Well, right, yeah, that's still actually less than I was thinking for your family size. That's actually pretty good.
How many people watching pay less than that for their mortgage?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean? That's what it is. It's another mortgage payment.
Yeah, this lady right here.
I went from $50 a month to $1,560 a month in less than a year. So what it is. Okay, here we go. What is the current job situation in animation and IT industries in the USA? Ooh, that's a great question. And this is something that I actually don't have the research on off the top of my head. So
I do.
There you go. That's why I love having guests, because I'm going to guess Vayman is how you say that, Vayman?
I think so, yes.
I would not have been able to answer this for you. Now, I would have been able to teach you how to find it, but not off the top of my head. But I have a smart guest with me, so here we go.
Thank you. I'm glad to know I'm not dumb. So I tell you, IT is blowing up. It is just huge, and more companies are coming about that are IT. More and more companies that used to be outside the U.S. are coming to the U.S. We're having just all kinds of interesting innovations happening. It's really, really exciting. Actually, this is a great time to get into IT in the US. I have actually really been encouraging a lot of people who had previously thought about it to do it now, especially with COVID and all the nonsense going on. 100%. 100%. Animation, I don't know exactly what you mean. I'm guessing you mean kind of like the UI version of.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. And those jobs are, yes, they're very heavy right now. I am seeing a lot of them, and actually even with COVID.
Get a job, right? I mean,
yeah.
I don't have the data on it, but
it's huge. The IT industry has just exploded. I mean, it's every time I turn around, the data is completely new. So what I read a week and a half ago is probably outdated now. It's just constantly growing and exploding. So I would definitely look into it.
Project Help You Grow jobs, the job listings that I'm pulling from, a lot of them are developer, programming, UI, UX. I mean, yeah.
Yep. Oh, and guys, by the way, if there's anybody out there looking to get into IT and you're like, oh, I just don't want to spend years in school and all that kind of stuff, and I still want to talk to people and that type of thing, I don't just want to be stuck away in a cubby somewhere. One of the coolest things that's really blowing up right now is Salesforce. Mm-hmm. And you can become a Salesforce admin in a matter of a few weeks if you do one of the online classes. And you can become a developer, which is really what you should do, by the way, is just go ahead and go to the developer level in a matter of like a month and a half. If you really sit there and dedicate and do the class and all that kind of stuff, don't just do the free stuff online. Actually take the class.
There's a hybrid too. I used to be Salesforce trainer for my company. Mm-hmm. So that's not really admin, because I wasn't admin at that level. I thought about that. I'm like, I could actually make this better by giving me admin. I built websites. But anyways, they were kind of a control freak. They didn't want to, because I wasn't a VP, right? I was a director level. Anyway, whatever. So, but the Salesforce trainer role is also a valuable thing, and you can do that fractionally and make more money. So instead of being one person's employee, which is harder to find that job anyways, you can fractional work, go and train them for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it takes, take their money, find another client, go do the same thing, make more money. Again, you will not have benefits and stuff that way. So you have to spend the $1,500 or whatever it costs you to give your family healthcare, but you can make more money fractionally. Okay. So I want to point this out. We were talking about the USA and Canada from Ghana, right?
Oh, you're welcome, by the way. Somebody said thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, Rwanda. Sorry, not Ghana. Rwanda. So, and then there's another one who had asked us about the private equity. So, it's nice that, again, Mondays are a little bit more cordial, and you can see they're good questions.
They're good questions, actually, yeah.
So anyways, before we move to the next question, I just wanted to address that. All right. In the present scenario, how about construction industry? Ooh, love it. For how Indian experience people can apply in the USA. Okay, so English is a second language, no problem. I can explain to you what he means if you don't understand.
Oh, I got it. And actually, by the way, guys, so this is something that recently came up for me, is that somebody was concerned about not being able to get a job because English was not their first language. So for any hiring person that's worth their salt, you're going to get some boneheads. Okay, I can't do anything about them, and I apologize. I apologize that they exist, but they are there. But any hiring person worth their salt, and any hiring manager is not going to be too concerned about that if you can communicate as well as this gentleman can. It's what's a lot more off-putting are the people who are US born who have terrible grammar and terrible communication skills. So if you're this good and English is your second language, if you never really had to dive into it and be engulfed in it, you'll be fine. And they know that. Okay. So first of all, just want to throw that out there.
I want to throw something else out too, because you're not going to talk about this. This is just a side note. Look at the guy's picture from LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Perfect for this.
Yes.
He's screaming.
Good job.
I'm in the industry, so that's a great profile photo for what you're doing.
Yes, very professional. It looks nice. I like it. I'm with Ira on that. So the construction industry right now depends on what kind of construction you're in. Honestly, I wouldn't pursue anything for new commercial buildings, because those are actually slowing way down because of all this remote business, right? But if you're into, I'm sorry?
It's the regulations, the COVID stuff. I mean,
right.
Projects down.
Yes. But if you're looking like roadway type stuff, maintenance type, stuff that maintenance, maintaining bridges, things like that, depending on what you're into.
Infrastructure.
Yeah, infrastructure. That type of thing is actually doing pretty well from what I've read. Not fantastic like IT, but it's still fluctuating. There's still jobs. There's still things happening there. So just depending on what type of construction you're into, that would be the way to go. If you want to apply in the U.S. and you are not in the U.S., I would, again, it's going to be very difficult for you to get here right now. The U.S. is basically shutting down work visas for the time being, unless there's a very particular niche talent that you have. Now, if you have a unique talent in construction that most people do not have, definitely reach out to some construction recruiters. Not me. I'm not that big into construction. I've done some of it.
Divinish, I'm sorry, I probably totally butchered.
No, you're okay.
But can you answer us how many years of experience are we talking? Are we talking entry level? Are we talking, you have foreman experience? The level of experience here is going to also matter.
Yeah.
Higher up you are, especially like, okay, so I'm going to presume you speak Hindi and some of the other languages in India. Now, in California, this is where you have to really kind of study the population base of a country and not just speak in generalities. Because I'm going to tell you that
That's true.
I have an intimate knowledge of the construction industry in general because I sold large format plotter equipment that make the blueprints to construction companies. So I dealt with engineers, architects, general contractors, subcontractors. I dealt with the government. I have the pulse of the construction industry better than most people. I'm going to tell you that in the Bay Area specifically, there is a huge Indian population where they will speak your language. So even English as a second language is probably not an issue because a lot of the employees on those sites are not just Hispanic, like you might stereotype, or English, like you might think if you're not from the United States and you don't know the way our culture is. But the population of California in the Bay Area there's a huge percentage. Fremont and Greater Stockton of Indian people. So I'm talking like maybe even 100,000, 200,000 folks in total. Huge number. So if you have experience in a niche, again, that is hard to come by. And the higher certs are, the higher your experiences are, those jobs, they want to fill them, they can't fill them. Yes. Now, again, with COVID, it's changed the game, and a lot of those projects are on hold. But if you can show that you're qualified to do the work, they'll bring you in because they need you. And that can be really good pay. So, I'm talking like $35 an hour, $50 an hour, things along those lines, like really good money in the United States.
Yes.
In California, so your cost of living is higher. And I just read an article that said it takes $48 an hour to rent a 2-bedroom apartment in LA.
Yep, I believe that.
So, you do have to consider the cost of living. But anyways, it's possible. But if you're entry level,
yeah, that's not going to happen.
Forget about it.
Yeah, not right now.
Because again, go back to my bread analogy. I can go anywhere and I can, hire people for minimum wage or just a bit over, and then train them, and then I give them raises as they accelerate. You know what I mean? But if you've got niche skills, you're a welder, you're an electrician, you're a plumber, and you're above apprentice level, you probably have a good shot. Again, it just depends on where you're at. So your foreman level, you're in. Almost guaranteed.
Oh, yeah, I would say so too. I would completely agree with that. Yes.
Okay, this is a long one. Let's see what we got here. Applying to publicly traded holding company for senior vice president, CSO position. I made a great salary, very small. Okay, that doesn't matter. What should I ask them?
What should I ask for?
Okay, there's no way. There's not enough information there to intelligently.
Wait. Hold on. Let me see here. Applying to publicly traded holding companies. I made a great salary in a very small 20 people. What should I ask? So you're coming from a small company to a large.
Yeah, and he's asking you for how much should he ask for a salary?
Industry would matter, all of that. So here's what I would say. Here's what you do. I'm gonna pull an IRA. I'm gonna tell you how to find it. Okay.
Yeah, there you go. Like it.
we're gonna pull an IRA on this.
The market matters for one. If this is in LA, if this is LA or this is Des Moines, Iowa.
Yeah, completely different scenario.
Everything else is exactly the same. The answer is different.
Yes. So what I'm going to tell you is what you do is you look at a few different places. You're going to go to salary.com and you're going to put in your occupation, your industry, and your title. Okay, and the type of company, that kind of thing. You're going to put in location. Sorry, location, your type of your industry, and your title. Those are the three things: title, industry, location. And then you're going to go ahead and get some information there. Then you're also going to do that on Indeed.
You got to spell
okay. And then you're going to do it on Glassdoor. Because the reason that you're going to do it in those different places is that you're going to get different sources of the information. Pay scale, by the way, is another one that you should be looking at. I would actually do those 4, because then you're going to have 2 where you're getting it from the people that actually have held the jobs, and 2 from the company / government. Okay. So you look at those 4 sites: Indeed, Glassdoor, Payscale, salary.com. Those 4. And you put in, and you just make sure that you give them all the information possible, and they will tell you the range that you should be looking in.
I'm putting these in the comments.
Yes. Yeah. That is absolutely what you do. There's no other logical way to do that.
And I address it here too in this article. This is winning the interview. Salary request, number one thing. Well, there's another thing, okay, that you can do that Catherine didn't mention, but is another good way to do it. Informational interview. You can do the same thing. So if you can get somebody who holds the type of job that you're going after in that local market, that's a question that you should ask in an informational interview for sure.
Yes.
A lot of times that's when you're doing what am I trying to say? A stretch job. So you're going from one level and stepping up into a new level. Like, for example, before, when I was going from sales rep to sales manager, I did some informational interviews with some of my peers who were sales managers. And that was a question I asked all of them. And that helped me in the negotiations, because I went in, it's actually the only time it's ever happened to me. I went in with a number in my mind, what I thought I was going to get. And they actually offered me a number over that.
Yes.
And so then I was like, okay, I just said yes. I just said yes, because I knew what I wanted. I knew what was average. And then they showed me that they actually had faith in me even more than a standard salary. They gave me above and beyond. So why did they do that? I don't know. But I appreciate it. And
but you liked it. So
but again, Payscale, Salary, Indeed, Glassdoor, those are all great resources for you.
Yes. And you want to get a variety, and then kind of put it in the median, like somewhere in the median to high range is where you want to be asking.
I want you guys to consider, this is something I teach in my article. This is a little bit of IRA covering your butt, right? A CYA. So,
always CYA.
Yeah, always. I want you to look up what is your cost of living going to be, right? I want you to add everything, including I want you to have a reserve. So in your budget, I want you to set, like, this is going in savings every month. And I want you to have stuff like people don't even think about. I need to date my spouse. I have 8 kids. I need to buy them shoes. I need to take them out to eat. There's entertainment.
Yes.
You put all of that in there. And then again, remember, cost of living increase for the next 24 to 36 months, because you're going to ask that in the interview. Yep. How do you handle promotions and raises? I'm going to tell you at senior VP or CSO levels, raises aren't typical. I mean, they're not. You're going to get stock. The stock's going to go up, and that's going to be your raise. But you're not going to get a raise. So if you're asking
typically
$50,000 and that's your annual salary, that's going to pretty much be it. Now, you sometimes will get a cost of living increase every once in a while here and there, but it's not going to be a performance-based. Like I said, that's going to come in the way of the stock.
Yeah.
So
and bonuses and things like that.
Right. So you need to look. I'm going to tell you, you need to do all that work.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you're flying blind. You're just going to take
research.
Hope you can live on it. I mean,
research.
Why is the position available?
Oh, always ask that.
Why is
always
the position available? Somebody wasn't happy with that job, or
it's brand new
because they didn't do a satisfactory job, right? So it's one or the other. And if somebody wasn't happy with that job, why weren't they happy? Number one reason they're not happy, they weren't making enough money. Number one reason.
Or they were treated like crud.
Or they would that happens too. But that's what Glassdoor. You already mentioned Glassdoor. That's what I love about Glassdoor. You should definitely be looking at companies if you can on Glassdoor.
100%.
Find out what employees are saying about them, former and current, and you have to take it with a grain of salt.
Yes.
Like a lot of people when they leave are disgruntled. I get it, but if there's more negative stuff out there than positive, you know, it's a warning sign. It's just a warning sign. You might want to keep that in mind when you negotiate for more, because you know you're gonna be dealing with a miserable place.
Yes.
I don't ever recommend going to toxic work environments. I've been to too many of them, and they're awful.
They
Especially
suck.
now at the C level, you can presumably make some and affect that, but you got to be really careful. If you're walking into a toxic zone, I've walked into toxic zone as just a sales rep and as a bid manager, and in both places I was miserable because I didn't have the authority to do what was, you know, in India they have this expression, do the needful. I wasn't able to do the needful there because I didn't have the authority.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Do the needful.
Do the needful. All right. They never had a CSO before. Okay, you need to change business strategy, direct, changing market.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's even better if it's a new position. I love new positions.
And it's good because there's a couple things here that I really like, Adam. This is what I really like. They have identified a hole and they're adapting to the economy. That's progressive. That's a good sign. And I saw that you said mountain state, so the cost of living is probably going to be a little bit lower. We're talking Utah, we're talking Colorado, something like that. Your cost of living in Denver, well, it's higher than it used to be. Salt Lake City.
Yeah, but it's not as bad as some areas.
Yeah.
It's not like Miami or something.
Yes, but you know, so look at it. But I think informational interview will probably be a way to help. Now, how do you find them? Some strategies on finding these folks. If you're from a different area, love Facebook groups, love YouTube groups, LinkedIn groups. And you know, you reach out to you join these groups, you reach out to people one-on-one. What you do is you go to the membership list, you find people in the membership list, and then you message them through that group. There's a tip for you, so you don't even have to have in-mail credits. LinkedIn doesn't.
It's so true.
It's a little secret between me and you. Now, if you have premium, it doesn't matter. Use your email.
That's so funny.
It's my pleasure. And again, guys, these are the questions that I like. I don't get these questions on Saturdays. Saturdays I get.
Yeah, I like the deep questions. That's really good. That's really, really good.
Oh, no. Large metropolitan East Coast. Well, that's a whole nother. Yeah, that's a whole nother thing. But
yeah, just research it.
This is what I like about that. There are more people to interview, and you might already be familiar with it. You know what I mean? There's 54%, I think, of the United States live, you know, on the East Coast.
Oh, and also if you are relocating, make sure that your reload package is really good. You don't want to be stressed out during that move. Don't accept like a flat dollar amount. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Have them pay for the move. Like say, I'll pick the mover.
At the C level,
yes.
That's a reasonable expectation that's part of the package.
Yes. At full relocation covered. Yeah.
Not about it. If your saturation about your level and no benefit in current job, do I need to change? Okay, so this is English as a second language. So we're having a little bit. I'm not 100% sure what he means.
I do. I know what he means. I got you. Dude. All right.
My friend, see, I don't have to be the smartest guy in the room.
I don't think it's a smartness thing. I think it's just, you know, working around it the most, which you do actually with Project Help You Grow. You work with all different languages and cultures, which I love.
I get a lot of it. Yeah.
I do know what he means. If you're not happy, and actually I'm going to make this kind of a more general answer because this applies to a lot of things. If you're not getting what's important to you in a job, yes, it is time to change. Oh. If you're not getting the benefits that you need and or want, if you're not getting the PTO that you really like, if that's something that's important to you, it's not to everybody. Like I'm kind of work obsessed. I'm one of those people.
Knowing your priorities.
Yeah. Your priorities, advancement. You know, if there's no real clear path to advancement, yes, it is time to leave. And it's the smart thing to do. Do not quit your job and then look. Okay, that is so ass backwards. Don't do that.
Don't ever do that. Oh my God.
Don't ever do that. Get a job and then put in your 2 weeks note or whatever notice is appropriate in your area and in position.
I do want to be careful here. Okay, so I'm going to presume because of the name that you are either UAE or India. Okay. And either
I would
way,
think so.
this is a little bit different culturally. So you may
Mhm.
not be familiar with this one, but they have to give 30 days and they have to
Yes.
honor
That's
it.
why I specify
So,
whatever the notice is in your
right.
area.
But
Please do that.
make sure you're being transparent with the
Mhm.
company that's hiring you, because I just had this question actually last week. They ran into an issue where the new company expects them to start before their notice period is over. Do not do that, because you don't want to
No.
start the new relationship on a bad foot. You want to always be above board. And
Mhm.
especially if you are not openly looking, I call it searching incognito. Okay. If you're searching incognito, which is looking, so you don't want your current boss to know, and that's the smart thing to do always.
Mhm.
Um, but here's the deal. Make sure that you're communicating with the future employer. They've offered you a position. As long as you communicate with them up front. Like don't wait till the last second and go, hey, by the way, you know what I mean? I've
Oh
got
yeah.
3
Yeah,
weeks.
don't do that.
You do it straight away up front. Like when they say, when can you start? You say, well, I've got to give notice. And
Yes.
you're transparent with it. Here's what happens. Okay. This is, I know what it is. There's the fear that they're not going to offer me the job if I don't tell them I'm available right now. And
That's not true.
so you want to make sure that you get that offer, but the
Mhm.
fact is you're not available right now. So you can't do that, because you're going to end up costing yourself. It's called integrity anyways, right?
Yes.
But also you want them to know that you're reliable. Like you can speak the truth even when it's hard. One reason why I don't have 1 million followers right now, why I only have 200,000 followers, is because I don't sugarcoat the truth. I actually tell you the truth, even when I know it's not what you want to hear. There is
Right.
no magic easy button that I can just have you press and you can go from working in Bangalore to working in New York City. I know that's what a lot of you want. You want to go from, um, you pick the name of the town, right? You want to go from Dubai to
Yeah.
Toronto, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You want to go from Jakarta to Los
So
Angeles, okay? It doesn't matter, but it's not easy. If I would
no.
tell you it's easy and I would sell you on the fact that it's easy, you all would believe it because I tell the truth, but it wouldn't be the truth. It would be a lie, and I would build more followers faster. But the fact is, it's not true. There is
Yeah.
process for you to do these things. I will give you strategies and advice on how to best accomplish it. Again, what did I say? It's going to take you 3 to 4 years.
Yeah.
And you don't
And
like
by
it.
the way, another way for anybody that's in IT or engineering, anything kind of specialty like that, to start putting your foot in the door, kind of to tie back to your answer to the Rwandan gentleman. Um, one thing you could do is get with a company that also has an office in the country in which you want to land. But another option is actually to start doing contract work through a recruiting company that is in that country. So let's say you want to come to the US. Start doing contract work through a US based recruiting company, even if it's just part-time, and
Yep.
start getting your foot in the door and that type of thing. Because what's going to happen is a lot of those companies start going, well, wait a minute, no, I really want that person. I want them full time. You're a lot more likely to start being able to get your foot in the door. Plus, also when you go to apply for your visa, this is at least true in the US. I don't know for sure about other countries. It is a lot easier to get it if you can prove that you've already been doing work locally and that you'll be easily able to find a job.
Okay, so I probably should have said this at the beginning of the show, but we're not lawyers, so
Oh yeah, we're not
don't
lawyers, but
don't
this
lean
is
on us for legal advice. We're giving you professional
yes,
work career advice, not legal advice.
yes,
But here's the
yes,
thing I
career
want to
advice only.
do. This is especially because of COVID. This is a change, a paradigm shift
Mm-hmm.
in your favor as a global employee who wants to work in the United States.
Yes.
You can do it remotely.
Yeah.
So start working remotely. You don't have to wait. You're not going to get your visa. They're not going to move you out here, none of that stuff. But here's what Catherine just said. Okay. They're going to start to get to know you and like you.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually you're going to become irreplaceable because you know
Mm-hmm.
all the systems, you know all the processes, they have the
Mm-hmm.
relationship with you, all that stuff. And now you have a shot of them when COVID stuff. I don't know if it's ever going to revert back to quote unquote the old normal,
But when
right?
it gets more stable.
But when it gets more stable and people are more working in the, office more, like it becomes more
Mm-hmm.
common to work in the office, they might say, hey, would you consider transferring out to work with us in San Francisco or
Right?
Denver or wherever? And then you could be like, Hallelujah, my dream came true. That because I'm a dorky white guy, but that's how I would say it. And anyways, you can say it however you want. We got some thank yous, which is super cool. And
You're welcome. Anybody saying thank you?
we're
You're
right
welcome.
there now. Look, I always like to do this. I like.
Oh, and connect with me, by the way, on LinkedIn, guys. Connect with me.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Follow me. Like, I will talk to you. I will send you messages. I will make introductions for you. I can't necessarily hop on the phone with you, but I will message with you.
100%. I don't bring people on my show unless I want you to connect with them, because I'm not going to bring somebody I don't know or trust on my shows. So Catherine is somebody that I know and trust, and we'll be announcing more about that later.
Yep.
So anyways,
I'm excited.
I have your website floating at the bottom of the screen right now, titanmanagementusa.com. I want you guys to go there, hit that bookmark. Follow Catherine on LinkedIn or send her a connection request. Follow me. And I always like to leave. Like, we've talked about a lot of stuff, right?
We have. Oh, wait, real quick. Career launch. I have a communications episode coming up on Wednesday from 12 to 2 Central Time. 12 to 2 Eastern Time, 11 to 1 Central Time. It is welcome to anybody, international or otherwise. We're going to be talking about all kinds of different career subjects. Have some fantastic guests.
That's not
career
California. Just in case.
Yep. Yeah. Career Launch Live is the name of it, and it's careerlaunch2020.com. And feel free to come check us out. We do the same thing like Ira does. We answer your questions live. So feel free to join us. We'll be right there with you.
I've been on that show before.
You have, and we need to have you back, but you're always so busy.
That makes sense. Okay, the other thing that I want to do, this is relatively new to my website, but I want to point this out. You're going to be on here. I needed one more. I do them in intervals of 3. So I needed one more episode in the can so I could add another layer. But what I've done is I've created, because these are all, it's the same show, but it's all different questions, right?
Yeah.
And so if you guys are looking to find this replay, you can find it on Project Help Your Grow later today. I'll have it added as soon as YouTube gets it loaded. I always simulcast these, by the way, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So we're on all 3. And then you can go to Project Help Your Grow. So you'll find Kathleen. What I'm going to do, Kathleen, is that if they click on it, I'm going to hyperlink it to your LinkedIn profile so that they can
yes,
connect with you there. Okay.
Yes. Connect.
Yep. So anyways, that's called Ask Ira on the Project Help You Grow tab. That's a new addition. I took away the events page because frankly, we're not having events right now with COVID.
Yeah.
So, and I added the Ask Ira. And then I also have the podcast, which I have not had you on my show yet. So I need to have you on the podcast.
I'll do that. Yeah. I can do that.
So we'll get you on there. And then we'll have a backlink to your company page as well. So
yes. That's good.
USA, that'll be a nice little backlink. So anyways, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Any final parting words or advice that you'd like to give before we say hasta la vista?
I do. Guys, the number one piece of advice I will give you is be tenacious. Okay. If you don't know that word, what it means is you need to be bold. Yes. Relentless, bold, and assertive, not aggressive, assertive, and be creative in what you're doing. Get out there and make intros, do some videos, make some fun content, comment on other people's feeds. That's how you make a lot of great connections, and get involved in some great shows like this, but be tenacious. That's the best way to find a job. And best of luck to all of you. Please let me know if I can be a resource to you.
Yep. You can make your dreams come true, guys. You really can. But you have to be strategic about it, and you have to be, it takes effort. It requires lots of effort. Again,
lots of effort.
I want to go from where I am to where I would love to be, and you can fill in the blanks with those anything. Mm-hmm. You have to outperform the people that are already there. And there's a variety of ways to do it. So we've given you some strategies, some new strategies today that we haven't talked about before. Work for them on a part-time basis through a staffing agency. Remote. Mm-hmm. Those are 2 great additions to my strategy of finding a job locally that you can, a multinational company that you can then transfer. So there's some practical ways to get it done. Do your research. Be prepared. Be friendly. Don't forget to make friends.
And don't be weird, though. But don't be weird. Friendly, but not weird.
Yeah. Be professional friendly, right? I'm not creepy.
Yeah, not creepy.
None of that stuff. But also, again, culture matters. Who you know matters. Do your informational interviews. Don't just go in and quote unquote wing it. The wing it people are not winning jobs right now for the most part. Okay.
For the most part, that's true.
80% of people landing jobs right now are not landing jobs via the job board. I run a job board, so it breaks my heart to say that. Okay, Project Help You Grow. But there's more to Project Help You Grow than just the job listings. I have them, frankly, because you wouldn't come to my site if I didn't. Otherwise, I'd just get rid of the job. The advice, the strategy, the tips, that's what makes the difference right now. You have to have your game on point. Love the question.
Yes.
Thank you very much. You can find me again tomorrow. Speed Networking with Mike and Ira. It starts new time for tomorrow, 12 noon, 3 p.m. Eastern. We're going at 8 p.m. in London. That's why we switched it forward so we could pick up the folks in the UK and the surrounding areas. Sorry, India, it's still going to be late for you. It's going to be just past midnight for you. So that's probably not viable. But I have things throughout the week at different times. Find the Ira guide on my profile in the featured section. You can find, I'm on 7 days a week now because I added for the first time Saturday nights. It's actually midnight, so it's Sunday morning. I do international networking. That's at midnight my time. Guess what time that is in India? 12:30, just afternoon, 12:30 p.m. Right? Yeah. So you have your lunch, then you hop on. We had 1,500 people on the show for the first episode. Lots of people from the UAE, from Africa, from India. I think I was the only person from the United States. But, hey, we had a good time. We answered job seeker questions. We answered some entrepreneur questions. And we answered some networking questions. So that was all there. Anyways, Catherine McCord, you are amazing. Thank you so much for being my guest. Y'all, I'm
so glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm going to turn on the music. We're going to bebop out of here. Y'all have a wonderful day.
Bye.
I need to invest in dance lessons.
Nah, I like the moves. They're good.
My wife would be all about it too. She's like, salsa dancing? Let's go.
Straight up disco. Just
right? Old school. Come on. John Travolta.
Mm-hmm.